Hey, everybody, I'd like to thank our new sponsor, Doors. Yes, Doors. Hey, if you're buying a new or used home, make sure your home has doors.
Hi, this is Real Estate Podcast for the Common Man, where we talk about selling, buying, investing in homes. We're not baffling you with BS, we're dazzling you with brilliance. We're not telling you how to become a millionaire. We are telling you stories, the truth, and the information no one is talking about. So sit back, listen, laugh, and enjoy Real Estate Podcast for the Common Man.
Hey, everybody, JD here. Hope you're looking good and feeling fine. Hopefully, you had a great day with friends, families, and relatives and acquaintances. We're going to be discussing. Oh boy, I get a lot of emails and people talking to me. And JD, the market's over. Just real estate market's over, and we're just dropping out. We're not going to buy a home. We can't afford it anymore. We're just going to rent the rest of our lives. And people are just really frustrated. Sellers and buyers and real estate agents, they just have put the entire market on hold. And with the new National Board of Realtors rules and regulations, because of lawsuits, that's going to change everything in July. Please listen to my podcast that was before this, and it will explain what is going on with that. But we're gonna, if you're still thinking of purchasing a home, and some people do. I mean, they move, divorce, family grows. They just have to sell their home because of an illness. They got married, blended families. I'm going to explain a little bit on today's market for everyone out there. And I really appreciate all the people that listen to my podcast and email me and talk to me when I'm walking around the streets. Hey, JD, I've got this question. Enjoy the podcast. Been learning a lot. Really, guys, that means so much for me. And that's, people always say, hey, JD, why do you call your podcast Real Estate for the Common Man? And, the way I came up with that is I listen to a lot of podcasts and YouTubers and so on and so forth. They always, get rich quick and how to invest in no money down and how to invest in, apartments and land and all this stuff. And, it just is so over the top. I just wanted to have a podcast for the common guy, common man, woman, young, young couple, single couple, just to make sense out of real estate. That's why I call it real estate for the common man, the everyday person who's just working for a living, who wants to purchase, sell, or buy a home and rent a home or whatever. So that's why I came up with real estate for the common man, because I wanted this podcast to be just for the average person out there. So, like I said, so many people are frustrated. JD, I don't know if I'm ever going to buy a home or ever going to sell my home. I don't know. I think we're just going to just forget about the whole thing. And I say no. I said, guys, you just are lacking information. There's so much misinformation about the market. This is real funny. I, Googled market trends, and they said, real estate is going up year over year, 10%. And then the article just down below, real estate's going down. It dropped 10% year over year. You don't know what to believe. I mean, it really depends on who's selling you stuff. I mean, if you're real estate agents, they want you to buy homes. If they are not, Then they give you this gloom and doom and the market's going to go down and so on and so forth. I always tell people nobody really knows. I'm going to do a prediction at the end of this podcast, and hopefully I'm not wrong. But I'm just giving you a prediction because I'm not bragging here, folks, but it seems like every time I have this feeling, I've always been right in real estate. Always been right in real estate. In 2008, I told somebody we all need to get out of this. The real estate market's going to crash, and it did before anybody else even knew about it. Now, I'm not saying I know it all, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just telling you what I thought, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to think what's going to happen in the months to come. But anyway, so I get a lot of these people, oh, it's just tough to buy a home, the market's terrible, interest rates are up, and they just complain, but they really don't know the market. They don't know how it affects people in which ways, or how to even, put in an offer. And we're thinking about buying a home, but I don't know how to put in an offer or how to structure it or anything to even look at. So I'm going to tell you the secrets, folks, of if you're buying or selling. I'm going to tell you the unknown secrets of buying a home. And this is over years of me working with buyers and sellers. So the first thing I'm going to go over is, people say, wow, interest rates have really gone up. Holy smokes, John. They have gone up so high. Just 3 years ago, they were 3.5%. Now they're 7. Wow. And everybody says, well, if you bought a home and the home was the same price, and now with the interest rate, the payments would have doubled, and, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true, but I'm going to walk you through exactly why the market has really, really slowed down. And we all know it. I mean, you go around, you see for sale signs all over, but nobody is buying them, and none of them say sold or under contract. And everybody's trying to sell the overpriced homes, but nobody's buying because the interest rates are so high. But a lot of people will say, how does it affect the market? We know that it's so high, but how does it really affect the home buyer and the home seller? So I remember years and years and years ago, I used to do a lot of business with a guy who was a management of a mortgage company. Brian, excellent guy. I think he's retired, but excellent, just a super guy. And we got chatting over a cup of coffee, and I said, Brian, how does interest rates really affect the buyer? And he came up with the statistic, and I always thought it was true until I really did research for this podcast. And he said, well, JD, for one interest rate, it eliminates 250,000 people from buying a home. And I said, so if interest rates rose 1%, it eliminates 250,000 people. And he said, yes. I always thought, wow, just one interest rate affects that many people. I've always thought this. Well, I started doing this podcast, and I thought, I'm going to really research. It's been years, and I just kind of took that as the truth and really never questioned it because there's really no reason for it. And then I started really looking into that, and Brian was so far off. It was amazing. But then remember, that was years ago. We didn't have computers and all that other stuff that was around. It was just basically what everybody kind of said, and we took it for truth. We didn't have Google or all these AI systems and so on to really research it. But I researched it and I was shocked. He was so far off. So I am going to now tell you on my list is exactly how interest rates affect the real estate market, and you're going to be shocked. I was totally shocked. And then we're going to talk to buyers about how to put in a home, an offer on a home, and what to look for, and just kind of maybe make sense out of this crazy overinflated real estate market. We're really going to go through that. Well, what I did is I did a lot of research, and I found the true statistics, and it's this. When interest rates rise by just 1%, it can really significantly impact the housing market, affordability. And I looked, and it's amazing because according to the National Association of Home Builders, approximately 87, let me say this again, 87.5 million households in the United States today already unable to afford a median price new home. 87 million people cannot afford basically just an average home anymore. That's just amazing. That just shows you how hard it is to purchase a home now. So, we're going to say, like, let's just say that you were buying a home for, let's see, 400,000, and you just got, let's say, a 30-year loan, and let's use old school. Let's just say it was 3.5%, which those days are gone. Forget about it. But we'll just use that. And let's say it went from 3.5, and the interest rate just went up to a quarter point. Now we know it went from 3.5 to 7. So you're going to see how many people have been eliminated from this market. Then we're going to talk about another problem that you're probably asking yourself, but let's go through this. If the interest rates just go up a quarter percent, it eliminates not 250,000, which I thought all these years. It eliminates 1.1 million households from not purchasing a home. Just a quarter percent. That is so surprising. So if you look at how much the interest rates have rose from 3.5 to almost 7, that's eliminated almost 86 million people from not buying a home. Now, here's the question I get. Then why aren't homes going down in price? Seem to be going up in price. This is crazy. Why aren't homes, JD, going down in price? The market should be crashing. It should be, they should be terrible. But they're not. Well, I'm going to explain the reason why the housing market hasn't gone down as of yet. But I will tell you what it's coming in the future here. Is because I researched, I looked at how real estate agents work, why the homes aren't going down that much in certain parts of the United States. And I realized that every real estate agent usually prices home the same way. We all go to the multiple listing service. We type in 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage, 2,000 square feet in XYZ neighborhood. And it looks at all the homes around that, it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 2,000 square feet in XYZ's neighborhood. And it says your home is now worth $500,000. And You go, wow, okay, so we'll list it for $500,000. Wow, that is so overpriced because what happens is it's getting comps that are when the interest rates were a lot lower and the market was overinflated and it was a fake market, and it's using those statistics to support another fake market. So it's like let's say 2020 a fake market, so you use comps for 2020, and now 2021 is a fake market, and then you use for 2022, 2021 fake market. Now you have 2022 fake market and 2023 fake market, and now it keeps going on. So you're dealing with such an overinflated market, you just get overinflated homes. And now that's why so many homes don't seem to go down in price, because they just keep adding to the own inflation. They just keep, except using their common sense, they just use the same database that they've been using for the past 3 or 4 years and getting the same overpriced homes. And now with interest rates going on and buyers getting way more educated, they're not falling for it. And that's why so many, if you go out there, builders, I think builders are going to start going bankrupt pretty soon, because so many people bought their homes a year or two and the interest rates were really low, but they couldn't lock in. And now with interest rates so high, they can't afford to close on their home. And a lot of them were, contingent on the sale of their home. They didn't, they thought no problem. Hey, all these homes are selling within 24 hours, 2 days, 12 offers. I won't have any problem selling. And now the whole market's completely shut down and they can't sell their homes, so they're backing away. And now all these builders have these half built or almost fully built homes. They're holding construction loans, and now they're just giving mass incentives. Now, people always say, JD, if they're stuck with so many homes and they're selling and they're paying construction loans, why don't they just lower the price? And I said, that's a good question. I used to work for a new home builder. I worked on site. I know how the game's played. They can't, because they have what they call a blanket appraisal. When they build certain styles, and the certain styles are built, and they usually have what they call a base price, and then they build all their extras in it. And that base price is a blanket appraisal. And if they started lowering the price of the home, it completely destroys the subdivisions. And now the people that bought in there, they can't sell their homes. So now they're stuck and they're walking away, and it starts this massive foreclosure, and it doesn't do anybody any good. So what the builders do is they give these massive incentives. Hey, we'll sell you this overpriced home, but we'll throw in upgraded carpet and granite countertops and refinish the basement and put in all brand new landscaping and a fence. Or, you know what we'll do? We'll buy that rate down and we'll give you, except 7%, we'll give you 4.5 or 5%. And they're using $75,000 to give you a lower interest rate. Well, what they're actually saying is that house should be priced $75,000 less, but they can't do it. So they'll just give you a lower interest rate to entice you on buying the overpriced home, because all you're looking at is what the payments are, not what the price is. But I think eventually that trick is going to run out, and nobody is going to be buying new homes, and these builders are going to go bankrupt. I seen it back in, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. It's going to happen again. What do they say? History will repeat itself, and you'll see builders walking away with these half-built subdivisions, and I can see that happening soon. So that's what's going on with the new builds and the how just interest rates affect buyers. Now, a lot of people now will say, "Okay, JD, that's great, but I have to buy a home. I'm just stuck. I have to buy a home. I know it's not the best time to buy. I know interest rates are high. You know, I just I'm moving. We have to buy a house. I'm tired of renting. I just got married. We have kids. An illness in the family. Mom's moving back with us. Dad's moving back with us. I mean, tons of reasons why people move into another home. So they don't really care about the market. They just need a new home. So I started doing research, and people will say, JD, how do you put an offer in today's market? Can you give me some inside buyer secrets, a guide to really putting in an offer and buying a home? So I looked at all my past information, looked at all the data, looked at what sellers list their homes and what they take, and I came up with some really good facts on putting in an offer. First of all, the main thing is if you're looking at homes, you have time. Okay, I'm not saying you need a home, you got to close at the end of the month, then you just buy it and you forget it, and who cares what you bought it. But if you're like got time and so on, I always say don't go out and look at homes that are just listed on the market for a week. And the reason for that is because the sellers are what we call in the dream state. Is they dream that their home is better than anybody else and can get more money than anybody else, and it's going to sell within one day with 50 offers, and those days are gone. So, and the real estate agents, they come in, they do the market analysis, they use the old data, they see that all the other houses are listed overpriced, so they overprice their house too, and nothing's selling. A good example is 2 years ago in our subdivision that I live in, there was only really 13 homes even available. There's 197 homes for sale now, and none of them are selling. And the reason for it is they're all overpriced because you're using old data to price. So it's just one more overpriced home, another overpriced home. It's just a house on a shelf now. There's, and buyers aren't buying these overpriced homes because they can't afford it, one thing, and the interest rates are so high. So I looked at all the statistical data, looked at everything that has sold, even in today's market. And like I said, don't go out and look at homes the first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're in the sellers are in the dream states. Once after about 2 or 3 weeks, then people aren't looking at their home. They don't get any offers. Wow, maybe we're too high priced. I don't know. Then they stop blaming their real estate agent. Well, you told us we could get this amount. Well, we tried. I tried to get the best price possible because that's what, listing agents do. Their job is trying to get you the best price possible for sellers. And, they think, well, we can always lower the price of the home. So they start lowering the price of the home. I mean, some of these people I've seen lowering them $50,000 from where they list. Or they just take it off the market. I've been seeing, hey, if we can't sell it for what we want, and we'll just take it off the market and we'll just live here for a while. There was a one that was listed, and she was going to move back to California. She couldn't get the price for a home, so she took it off the market, and they're living in the home now. And they figure, well, I'm happy where I'm at, so at least I tried. And a lot of builders are doing that. So like I said, if you're going out and looking at homes, don't look at homes that are just listed. Look at maybe 2 3 weeks, 90 days out, And because, like I said, it's nobody's really buying homes, so it's not like the old days where you had to make a decision in 5 minutes. You got time to think about it. Well, let's see what happens, and so on and so forth. But when you do find a home, I've looked at all the statistical data. I'm telling you, back 30 years ago when I started selling, I looked and what's going on today. And there's this magical number. Nobody really knows about it. I mean, I've never heard about it and never really seen it, and talked to real estate agents, and they never really did it really any research. So I started doing research, and I realized that no matter if they were overpriced or they lowered the price, let's say they priced it 400 and they lowered it, okay, and they lowered it again. The price that they finally sold it for was not what they originally listed it in a regular market. I mean, 2 years ago you could list it for whatever you want. Those are crazy prices. Forget it. But in a real market like where we are now, like I said, it's still inflated, but kind of a real market. I noticed that the homes were selling for 3.5% less than what they were listed for. So let's say that you find a home and you're putting on. Now these are the secrets that don't tell anybody, because nobody really I don't want anybody to know this. Only my listeners. So if you're putting an offer on a $400,000 home and you take 3.5% of that, then you're taking $14,000 off the price of the home, so you should be offering $386,000. Okay, you got that? Now, a lot of people say, well, where'd you come up with the 3.5%? Yeah, I just looked at what sellers were taking. And that's all it was. And I'd say about 60 to 70% of the sellers, after a while, not like the first week, were taking about 3.5% less. Now, some were taking a little less, some were just taking a lot more. But on the average, it was like 3.5%. So let's say you're putting an offer at 400,000, take 3.5%, take $14,000 off that price. You have $386,000 you offer. Now let's say that you're going to put in a down payment of what, 3.5%. Okay, we'll say again. So you need 19,300 down. So you're getting a loan of 366,700. So that's what you're getting a loan for. So now a lot of people will say, okay, well, I'm getting a loan. 7% is just really high, really high. And I've just offered the seller $14,000 less. Well, he probably was $40,000 higher, than what he really should have been anyway. So you're not really giving him as bad as an offer as you think you are. Matter of fact, you probably could even go lower, and he might even take it. But I'm just trying to be realistic. So now you're saying, geez, I've heard about these points. Hey, 7%, 0 points, 6 3/4 and a quarter point. Uh, what is that? I don't know what that is. Well, I'm going to explain another little seller's secret, a buyer's secret here that a lot of people don't know is, let's say that you're getting that $366,700 loan, and let's say now that you want to get from a 7 to a 6 3/4 loan. Well, mortgage companies don't loan you the money. People think that you go to a mortgage company, they loan you the money, and so no, they're just a servicing company. They go through all the paperwork and so on, and then they finally, do it. And they get money for servicing and loan origination and all that. They have investors, and the investors are Wall Street or big banks or whoever, and they really loan you the money. So when they go out, and let's say you're going, just to make things easy, you're an investor, you got $100,000, right? And I come to you and I say, hey, I want a 7% loan. And you go, okay, great. I'll give it to you at no points. No, you don't have to pay anything for it because I can get my $100,000. I can go anywhere and I can get my 7% interest on it. So that's what it is. Now you go six, you want 6 3/4. They go, oh, wait a minute. If you want 6 3/4, well, I want some upfront money. I want some interest. I want that interest that I would have made if I gave it to you for seven, to make simple. So let's look at that $366,700 loan, and let's say you were going from 7 to 6 1/4. Okay, no, excuse me, 7 to 6 3/4, and they said, okay, it's going to be 1 point or 1% of what you're borrowing, not 1% of what the home is, 1% of what you're borrowing. So you're going for 6 3/4. Okay, the interest rate's 7 at no points, so 6 3/4. They're going to charge you 1 point, so you're going to have to come up with $3,367, or 1% of the loan, not the home. So if you're getting a loan at $366,700, you're going to have to pay $3,667 to get that interest point down 1/4 point. Now, if you're going a 1/2 point, then you're going to have to almost come up with $7,000 or more than $7,000 to go down to get a 1/2 point. So, if you can, and you, like I said, put in an offer of 3.5%, you might want also on top of that to ask for buyer's incentives, because I've actually seen people lower the price of the home and pay $10,000-15,000 towards buyers' points, closing costs, financial fees, loan origination fees. I've actually seen sellers do this. So, on top of offering them 3.5%, ask them to pay the points. Remember, there's not a lot of buyers out there. What did I say at the beginning? Something like 86 million people now can't buy a home because of the interest rate. So, their houses, if their house has been sitting there and they're really motivated. Now, people say, well, how do you, JD, how do you know they're motivated? Okay, well, here's the thing, very simple, guys, is when you find a house, also ask the real estate agent to look up what they owe on the home. Now, if they bought the home the past 3 years and they're selling the home for 500 and they owe 490, you're probably not going to get that home a lot lower unless they do a short sale, and that's another whole can of worms, and we won't go through that. But they're not going to give you a deal because they're kind of upside down on the house and they're just trying to pay their costs to move on. But let's say they bought it 10, 15 years ago and they got a ton of equity in it. I tell people equity is fantasy money, it's monopoly money. When people say, "Oh, I'm not going to go lower my price $10,000," well, they never really had $10,000. It's fantasy. It's just what the market said their house is worth. So they think they're losing. They think that, "Oh my God, if I go down $10,000, I'm losing $10,000." No, you're not. You're gaining. I mean, look, you bought the house and you bought it for 200, and now you're selling for 600,000. Holy smokes! And you're walking away with all that much money, walking away with $400,000, and you're complaining that oh my God, I have to pay $10,000 towards buyer's closing costs or something. No, they're lucky to sell it, and like I said, the market is what's really paying you. They're not, because if it wasn't for the market, they wouldn't get the money that they are getting. So you want to ask the seller to put in or pay for your points to buy that rate down. And a lot of sellers will. They know the market's really tough, and they will do that. Now, another thing is people will say, okay, I understand that, JD. I know how the offers are. I know how the interest rates are. You discussed buying the interest rate down for maybe so we can get a little lower house payment. But how do we really figure out what that house is worth? He said, "Oh, they're all overinflated. Everything is completely overinflated. So how do we really figure out what that home is worth?" So here's how I figure it out. Okay, and like I said, this is just me. It's how I figured out. Let's say that the home. Let's look at realistic. Let's say the home in 2019 was selling for 400,000, and now in 2024 the house is 600,000. Well, that's a $200,000 increase in 4 years. That's a 50% increase, or 13% a year. Houses don't go up 13% a year. Maybe 4, maybe 5, but not 13%. And that's the thing. Everybody is using fake figures nowadays with a fake market. They're not no common sense. So here's what I would suggest. Let's look at that house at that was selling for 400,000 in 2019. And let's say that house went up that 4 or 5. Let's really do the benefit of the doubt. It went up 6% each year. Then your offer price should be about 500 to 505, not 600,000. And that's where people are so crazy now. They just list their homes at overinflated prices because, like I said, because that's what the real estate agents do. They go to the MLS, and the MLS all does their little thing and magical mystery tours, they say, and they use the software and AI, and they're all, like I said, houses on the shelf, all overpriced. But if you want to look at that, then you go and you say, okay, a good offer on this is 505. Now the seller might flip out and say, "Oh, that's $100,000 less than what we're asking. They're crazy. We're out of our mind." Or something. No, no. You're listing your home on a fantasy, my friend. Because do you see anybody else's home selling for 600? No, it's because nobody wants to buy a home at 7% interest rates at 600. So if they don't take you off it, see you later. Bye. We'll just find somebody else who maybe might be realistic. And like I said, that's kind of the secrets of putting in an offer, where we are, how interest rates affect you, and so on and so forth. Now, that's what's really interesting because, like I said at the beginning, there's 8,800,000 people that can't buy a home now in today's market over 3-4 years ago. So you really don't have that big competition. You really don't. So, kind of to end all this now, if you look at what all the information I gave you, the overinflation of price. Oh, also, people will say, well, how do I know a seller's motivated? You look at what they owe, like I said. But if you have a price and it says, oh, reduced price, and the house is overinflated, and it's $600,000, you go, oh, this house is so overinflated. And it's been on the market for 3 or 4 weeks or a month and a half. And they go, oh, we just lowered the price $5,000 on a $600,000 home. Don't waste your time. These sellers are they're not sellers. They want to be sellers. You want to see a $600,000 home maybe drop it 20 grand or 30 grand. Then that's a motivated seller. If they're dropping it $20,000, $30,000, Then they're really motivated. But if they're overinflated and it's like, I mean, one house, I couldn't believe this. Then I'll wrap this thing up. One house they dropped. It was like a six. What was it? 600. No, it was serious. It was $600,000. Said price reduced. Okay, $595,000. They dropped it $5. Just take the sign, real estate agent. If you're that, I wouldn't even list to them. I just take my signs and get a new real estate agent. I'm out of here. That's not a motivated seller at all. Well, guys, I'm going to give you the last secret of my predictions. And like I said, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. It's just a prediction. Everybody has one. I think right now we're in the seller's dream state. Spring and summer. Oh, spring is always the buying market. Summer is always the buying market. Unfortunately, with the Israel thing going on, and was it Libya or somebody bombing Israel and so on. We might be getting in a war we don't want to get into. Oil's going to go through the roof. Inflation's going to go through the roof. There's going to be a lot of layoffs. We're going into an election year. Who knows who's going to win that one? It looks like Trump might win, but it's like everybody thought Hillary was going to win. You don't know until, the elections are over. But with just what's going on, overinflation, gas, wars, interest rates, I personally think, when people predicted the housing market in 2008, 2009 to go down the tubes, I predict that fall you will see a major crash in the real estate market. Major crash. Summer will be over. Spring will be over. Summer will be over. Fall, everybody will be going back to schools and on vacations and so on and so forth. Sellers and sellers and builders will not have sold anything, maybe a few here, a few there, all summer long. And they'll be desperate, and the market will just go down the tubes. A lot of them will probably be just walking away from their home because they won't be able to support the payments anymore. And you probably will see a massive crash starting probably, I'm going to say, September, October, around there. Maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. So just, keep on top of the market, do your research. And like I said, I think you will do well. And like I said, if you have to purchase a home in today's market, I gave you some of the buyer secrets that a lot of people really don't know, and how to determine what's a good price for a home and how interest rates affect people. So thank you very much, folks. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe or follow us. And I wish you a really great week. Have a good one. Bye for now, folks.
We hope you enjoyed the show, Real Estate for the Common Man. Please follow us or subscribe. Tell your friends, neighbors, relatives, and coworkers about us. We're on all your major podcast apps: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. If you can't remember all that, just Google it, or have your friends Google Real Estate for the Common Man and it will come up. Again, we thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hey, if you live in Colorado Springs and want to buy or sell a home, you can look us up at Sold Real Estate Company. That's soldrealestatecompany.com. Again, thank you very much. Please subscribe and have a very good week, and we'll see you next time.